Welcome back to Mean Streets, the podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir and more. I am Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths. Now it's time to crack another case. What has been dropped on our desk this week?
Today's case is 1998's The Big Lebowski, starring Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and Julianne Moore, and written and directed by the Coen Brothers, Joel and Ethan. And the IMDb longline is Jeff the Dude Lebowski, mistaken for a millionaire of the same name, seeks restitution for his ruined rug and enlists his bowling buddies to help get it.
Big Lebowski.
What a film.
Now, this investigation we are not doing alone. We have a returning guest, don't we?
We have a returning guest because The Big Lebowski is a big case. Returning one half of Doings of Doyle, the Arthur Conan Doyle podcast, who helped us out on the Woman in Green episode, and that is Dr. Mark Jones. Hello, Mark. Welcome back.
Hi there. Nice to see you again, guys. I can't promise I'll find any connections between The Big Lebowski and Arthur Conan Doyle, but it's a good movie anyway.
That's all right. I mean, the other day, this is going to be, by the time this airs, this is going to be very old, but I was just on an episode of Always Hold On to Smallville. We were talking about the Superman 2025, trailer, which has nothing to do with noir, but I have very strong opinions about James Gunn and Superman. So I spoke to Zach, who's been on our show, and I was like, dude, he's like, yeah, come on, let's talk. I'm like, yes, let's do some Superman. Hey, it's all good. It's not good. Everyone has to be not everything has to be noir connected. No,
and I seem to remember, like you dropped us a line saying that you just watched this, and you thought,
I had.
We should cover it, and we said, well, funnily, you should say that.
Well, it was.
So why don't you come on and talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I just periodically it comes on at cinemas, doesn't it? I mean, every now and then you'll get someone hits on the bright idea of, hey, that was a great movie, let's put it back on again. And it was about 6-8 weeks ago, it just came on at the local cinema. I went to see it again, you revisit this movie over the years. I mean, it came out in 1998, so we're talking more than 25 years. And I don't think the first time I saw it, I really appreciated the noir elements to it as much as I have done since. And certainly rewatching it for this with a noir perspective, I mean, it's all over, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Do you guys remember the first time you saw The Big Lebowski, or have some kind of recollection of the first impression it had on you, Matt?
I think I went to the cinema to see it. And I remember it coming out, and I remember it being not necessarily sort of widely celebrated, but word of mouth more than anything else. And I'm sure I went to the pictures to see this. Partly thinking, oh well, Coen Brothers. I'd seen some of their other films, and somebody had told me it was like a noir detective story, so it seemed good to me, and I got that and more, as we'll get into.
Yeah, I saw it also first time it came out. I'm fairly sure I went to see it twice. I really loved it the first time. I was just finishing up at university, and I think it's one of those movies that caters to a university crowd. And
well, I just finished university as well, so
yeah. And I remember, but it was a bit of a sleeper hit, wasn't it? Really, I don't remember people really raving about it. I mean, on campuses, I think there was a lot of excitement about it. But like you, Matthew, I knew the Coen Brothers stuff. I'd watched, Blood Simple's terrific, Miller's Crossing,
definitely.
Wow, amazing movie, and I think Fargo was out just before this as well, wasn't it?
1996.
Years before, yeah, and so all of those have been great hits. So but the lovely thing about Coen Brothers is that they have a sensibility, but they can play with lots of different stories. So you're going to get something that's kind of in the Coen Brothers mold, but you don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about this one the first time round. And like I say, every time it comes on the cinema, I head off and go and see it again.
I have yet to see this on the big screen, which is a shame. I should be on the lookout for that. I'm sure some theater around here probably does it every once in a while, or like the Prince Charles Cinema, they must do it. But yeah, so the first time I saw this would have been on DVD at some point. What I don't remember is if I watched it before I moved to the UK or after I moved to the UK. For me, it's just a bit vague as to when I actually saw it. But I remember, what I do remember is finding it bonkers, but perfect, but in all the right ways. Like it's absurd and hilarious, and it's that perfect kind of stoner comedy that has a bit of drama to it, some really good stoner jokes, but and great quotable moments, that just sort of keep you hooked. So I've always liked this, and every time I return to the Big Lebowski, I'm always like, oh, this is so good. Jeff Bridges is so good. John Goodman is so good. Like it never feels stale when you go back to revisit it, which is what I like.
I heard it described as slacker noir, which was a new term for me. Or maybe stoner noir. It's a good
That's
one.
A pretty good summary, I would say.
Yes. So we can go behind the camera and talk about how this guy got made. But yeah, so it came out in March of 1998 in the States and April 1998 in the UK. It cost $15 million. Its box office was $47.4 million. So it made its money back and then some. Not big money, but made its money. And as Matt pointed out, yes, it was written and directed by the Coen Brothers. Now, we talked about this in detail on our Blood Simple episodes. We're not going to go into it in this one, but they didn't have joint writer and director credits. But we know that they did write and direct together. There were, I think it was Director Guild issues that allowed them, that prohibited them rather from having a shared credit. And then eventually it was sometime in the early 2000s that they finally were able to get that shared credit. So while they are listed as separate, they actually did do everything together. And on IMDb, they are listed as co-directors on there. But at the time when it was released, they weren't. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in the writing and in the way this film just came about, and on the writing of stuff. I was quite fascinated by the inspirations that they had for the dude, and a little bit of, say again.
And how many?
Yeah, and how many? And so there was inspirations for the dude. There was inspirations for Walter. That you just sort of think, man, it is kind of nuts that people like this do exist, which makes it scary, but also fun. And yeah, it's a bit nuts. So I don't know if you guys know much about the kind of the inspirations behind this, but one of their inspirations for the dude is a guy named Jeff Dowd, who was an American producer that the Coens met during Blood Simple while they were doing that. Yeah. He was affectionately known as the dude who drank White Russians. And I don't know. I love that. I don't know if you guys do this with your writing and whatnot, but I love that they just kind of take these. You take these little things that you spot in real life, and you're like, that is too good to not use somewhere down the line.
Definitely. Well, it adds a realistic depth to a fictional character if you can do that. Because and it's also nice when people say, surely nobody's really like this, and you say, oh yeah, my mate John really is like this, because sometimes people, fictional characters seem larger than life, and it's good if you can actually ground them in real people, So I think it adds a bit of texture to fictional characters that might otherwise potentially come across as a bit sort of lame and 2D. So yeah, I think taking from real life is not necessarily a bad thing to do.
Yeah, I thought I think that the Jeff Dowd connection is really amazing, because I mean it gets so under the skin of the movie. I mean, I when I was watching it again, I saw that when the dude is in bed with Maud, he says, you know, he's giving his backstory, and he says, "Oh, I was one of the Seattle Seven." Well, that was me and 6 other guys, he says, and Jeff Dowd was one of the Seattle Seven. This
exactly.
pacifist group, and so you get, you know, these little things. I think you're right. It just sort of adds detail to it, but it means that when you come across these lines in the movie and you think that's completely surreal, where the hell did that come from? It probably came from reality.
It came from real life,
yeah. Like the bit with the kids' homework found in the back of a stolen car.
Yes,
that was from somebody's. That was an experience they'd had, or one of their friends had. It was one of their friends, a chap by the name of X-Line, who was a Vietnam veteran, who did, I believe, also did some work as a PI, which is kind of what this guy inspired John Goodman's character of Walter. And you know, there's a lot of reality to that kind of character. He's a very that Walter guy. He's character. He's a very. He struck me the most as someone who's quite Midwestern in his attitudes and feelings of, you know, patriotism and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so that incident with the car that was stolen and finding the kid's homework and confronting the kid is something that really happened. And again, it's like, that's just too absurd to happen in real life, but it did, and then you have to put that in your fiction.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also X-Line who was obsessed with, I think he was obsessed with his rug, and it tied them together. That's X-Line. Yeah, and that's a great running gag. A great running gag. And again, it's just one of these things that you can pepper your fiction with real life stuff that really you couldn't ever make up, could you? You couldn't make up finding a car with the kids' homework in the, you know, under the seat. You don't dream that sort of stuff up, do you? That's something that only reality can do.
Yeah. And now, go on.
I was just going to say, Goodman also. I mean, visually, Goodman is the director, John Milius. You know, who is, if anyone that knows the films, Goodman's almost playing him. He's absolutely he's brilliant director. Things like, or did he write and direct Conan the Barbarian? He certainly worked on Magnum Force, the Dirty Harry sequel. Milius is famous for like his love of weapons and like military stuff, you know. And he looks like Goodman in this. The beard is properly is based on Milius's beard and the glasses and everything. Goodman is essentially playing Milius. And again, that's a nod because Milius was a pal of the Coens. It's just I just love all this stuff that's they're drawing from all the people they know, you know, and turning them into, in part, these lunatic characters in this bonkers movie.
Now, Chandler's hand, the Raymond Chandler, his hand is all over this.
Yeah,
this story, and there's the Coens had a really good, they had reasons for why they wanted to kind of lean into this, and they have a long history of, there's noir elements in just about everything that they do. But regarding the kind of the film's structure, Chandler was a big influence on him, and Ethan is quoted as saying that we wanted something that would generate a certain narrative feel, like a modern Raymond Chandler story, and that's why it had to be set in LA. We wanted to have a narrative flow, a story that moves like a Chandler book through different parts of town and different social classes. And I mean, I think they really nail that. They blend so well the goofy stoner comedy with a Chandler-esque plot. I love the fact that these guys mistake the dude for the other Lebowski, and then they pee on his rug, and they're like, "Oh, is this guy meant to be a millionaire?" And because the dude goes to confront the millionaire, he then eventually gets roped into this plot to hand over a ransom, and that's such a Chandlerian thing that he is roped into something that he didn't anticipate getting roped into, and then he's there trying to solve the thing, but this time it's just with a stoner.
Absolutely. And it starts with such a little incident because he only goes to the real Lebowski, or the intended Lebowski, to get compensation for his rug.
Yeah.
And that's not his idea, is it? That's Walter's idea. So the other thing about it is that where you have in a Chandler novel, you're going to have some narrative drive with the main character, even if they're buffeted by events. The great thing about the dude is that he just is buffeted by different people all the time. Walter is the one who says, you should get your money back. And then you get that wonderful thing where the dude will parrot what he heard from the previous person.
Yeah.
And so, he'll carry on. He'll just reuse those phrases into the next one, in the parlance of our time and things like that. Phrases you wouldn't come up with. It's wonderful.
Her life is in our hands. Things like that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And again, that's another great running gag. Gag.
And I guess the title itself is a play on Chandler, isn't it? I mean, The Big Sleep, The Big Lebowski.
Yes.
They're wearing it on their sleeve, aren't they? But I think you're right, Luke, about that whole kind of the narrative structure. That quote that you gave from the Coen Brothers is that you get that really episodic feel as well, which works brilliantly well, and it just means that they can a lot of the transitions between those episodes are just as good as the actual episodes themselves.
Yes.
One of my favorite bits is the bit where I think they're just trying to get from one bit of the story to the next, and he sees the blue Volkswagen behind him and then crashes his car. And it's just, there's 30 seconds of complete screwball comedy in the middle of it. But it's a brilliant transition. It's just taking from, we've got to get from, episode 7 to episode 8, and this is the bit that's going to go in between. So
yes,
absolutely.
It's true. When trying to come up with the voice, they then obviously use the stranger's voice, and Joel made a comment about this one. He says it's a little bit of an audience substitute. In the movie adaptation of Chandler, it's the main character that speaks off screen, but we didn't want to reproduce that, though it's obviously has echoes. It's as if someone was commenting on the plot from an all-seeing point of view, and at the same time rediscovering the old earthiness of a Mark Twain. What did you guys think of the stranger's voice? Does it work? Do we need it? What's your take on their inclusion of this sort of all-seeing entity?
I have to say I quite like him because I like the fact that he kind of wrong foots you. At the beginning, I mean, they're quite good at these kind of hybrid genre bending kind of movies, and so you get the sense this might actually be a bit of a Western at the beginning of it. I think the cowboy himself has, Sam Elliot has that wonderful opening narration where even he loses track of what he's saying. So you get this sense that this is not going to pan out well. I have to say it's still one of the more perplexing elements of the film. It's still one of the bits that I think I can't really tell you what the purpose of him being there is, other than to break that fourth wall and to basically point out how ridiculous what is going on actually is. But I kind of have an affection for him, in part because it's Sam Elliott. It has to be said.
Yes.
Yeah.
That voice is worth $1 billion. It's amazing.
Absolutely. That was going to be my answer. I don't think it does need it, but I'm not going to turn away the opportunity of seeing Sam Elliott on screen. Never.
True.
So
True.
I'm quite happy it's there. I'm quite happy it's there. But everything that Mark said, the fact he loses his way, the fact that he does address the audience at the end, I mean, it's just nuts. It's got that sort of Chandler-esque texture to it. It doesn't serve any purpose for me, but I am glad it's there. Almost, because it reminds you, after that potential Western opening, it does remind you of what you're actually going to get, of sorts. Well, but I'm not convinced it serves any useful purpose.
Probably not.
No, I mean, what I like about in terms of like the transition, because obviously, anyone who knows, a little bit about hard-boiled fiction, that is birthed out of the Western. That is that is the cowboy in an urban environment. So I quite like that it kind of starts and we're following the tumbleweed. We're following the cowboy-esque imagery into the city, and then we have a sort of cowboy talking, and he's he's almost ghostly. He's almost supernatural, and I like the way he sort of comes across that way, of this sort of this all-seeing, timeless being who encapsulates, because he makes that comment about the dude being the the hero that's required. He sort of encapsulates the hero that was required at a different time. And you don't need the cowboy anymore, but the spirit of the cowboy is hovering and hanging around LA, watching the new heroes that, are, anywhere from stoners to, others, getting on with their adventures. So I like this sort of ghostly quality to this narrator, and Sam Elliott he's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
That's a good point. I hadn't twigged that, but that's a really good point. That actually, it is almost like a passing on of the mantle from the Western superhero to this idiotic stoner hero who is what they need at this point in time. As we first see him as he's drinking milk from a carton straight from the supermarket.
Yes, because when we think of like the noir hero, we think of Philip Marlowe, we think of even, in the 80s, we think of Spencer or Magnum PI, we think of tough action guys. But here we just have grunge 90s slob, which is so 90s. That is such a 90s type of person that we still have him today, but it's a very the dude encapsulates a very certain type of 90s individual that I think is fun that they use that type of individual to be the hero, that's required. It's quite clever. I think it's quite clever.
Yeah, it is clever.
What do you make of the Coen Brothers comment that they were influenced by the Altman Long Goodbye? That's the 73 one with Elliot Gould, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's that kind of, because that's not faithful. If I remember the book and the film, that's not faithful at all. But it has the kind of hovering of Chandler, and it has lots of vibes around it and stuff like that. I seem to remember that the opening 10 minutes of that movie is about Elliot Gould and his cat.
Feeding his cat. And then
he goes to a supermarket.
He goes to the supermarket.
But I just wonder how much
it's something like he can't afford the cat food the cat likes, so he just scoots some of the like crappy cat food into an old tin of the good stuff. And the cat's picky, isn't it? Yeah, the cat's picky. and he does, he's Elliot Gould's Marlowe is walking around as if he is stoned himself. He's mumbling to himself and so laid back. He's, they said in that film he was a man out of time, whereas the dude is very much a man of his time. So, but I did pick up on some Long Goodbye. I think it has got vibes of the Long Goodbye film, which is a film I think you either love or hate. It's not an adaptation of the book by any means, really. No. The book is something far different. But yeah, I think those two films are sort of they are sort of shadows of each other. It to a certain extent. I can see a sort of springboard position from the Altman Long Goodbye to this. Definitely.
Yeah. I can see it in maybe elements of the seediness, and I can see it in elements of the way Elliot Gould's Marlowe presents himself, as he's very sloppy, and the dude is very sloppy. Yeah. And I think that's I can see it from that perspective. Maybe a little bit visually, but yeah, I think it's probably just the attitude, the sleaziness, because it's a very the Long Goodbye is very sleazy.
It is a sleazy film, yeah. It's a sleazy 70s film, and I think you're right. I think it is the atmosphere of it, and the impression and the taste it leaves in your mouth that sort of have a similar vibe.
Yes,
but I don't think there's any denying that the Big Lebowski is a far more enjoyable film than the Long Goodbye.
No. So there were some interesting casting ideas for this particular film. I don't know if you are aware of some of these. We'll start with David Huddleston's, because he had some very interesting choices. So he plays the Big Lebowski. Some the other people they were approached who they approached to do this role were Robert Duvall, Anthony Hopkins, Gene Hackman, Jack Nicholson, Tommy Lee Jones, and Marlon Brando. Which of those would you guys have liked to have seen in this role other than David, or is David just too good?
I absolutely love David. I wouldn't have had Robert Duvall because I have a Conan Doyle hatred of him for the simple reason that he's the worst cinema Dr. Watson. But can you imagine some of those other people? Anthony Hopkins.
I mean, he didn't want to play an American, apparently.
Oh, okay.
And Jack Nicholson
with Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson only wanted to play Moses at this time. Now, I'd pay to see that, but I don't think any of these people. I don't think any of these people would have been as good by any stretch. I think Pat Hingle might have been quite interesting.
Oh, from Batman.
Yeah,
he's the commissioner.
He was one. He might have been quite interesting, but I can't see any of the others.
You need someone who isn't going to steal the scene. You need someone who's got the kind of gravitas and weight, and and actually the physical build. Given the joke later on about him being a spinal, as Walter calls him. But I can't be. Tommy Lee Jones is way too young, isn't he, for that?
Way too.
But I think the nice thing about David Huddleston's performance is that he has that kind of utter pompous, bombastic personality, and of course we discovered through the film that he's completely inept. He can't actually run a business, and he's not the one with he's not the one with any money at all. But he has this. But he just delivers those lines brilliantly. The one I always remember of his is that is it my responsibility if a rug is miturated on upon this in this fair city that I have to pay? Sort of, he just delivers it with this kind of utter contempt for the dude, which is brilliant.
Yes. With the dude, one of the alternative casting choices was Mel Gibson.
It's not that far off. I mean,
I don't think so either. It's
hard to think of somebody other than Jeff Bridges these days because he's so totally totally controlled. Is totally that character. But Mel Gibson would probably have given a good stab at it. I would have thought.
I think so too.
Matthew's not convinced, you see.
No.
I'm not convinced, but I think you've hit the nail on the head as to why I'm not convinced, and that is that it is very difficult to separate Bridges from this. There are certain roles in cinema that are tailor-made for certain actors, and this is one of them. I think Gibson might have done something different with it, perhaps quite interesting, maybe, but I don't know. I struggle to see anybody else do this role, to be quite honest. But that's not to say that I don't think Gibson would have been good or would have done something that would have been fascinating to see. I think he probably would. But I'm very pleased we got what we got.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I don't think the dude was written with Bridges in mind, though, having said that.
It wasn't. They only had John Goodman and Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci? Is that right? Yeah.
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. Yeah, Buscemi. Yeah. Why was I thinking about Joe Pesci? I don't know. They only wrote those two roles for those two guys. They didn't have anyone in mind for the dude. So the dude could have been anyone. I do think Mel Gibson could have been fine. I do. I think he puts on good performances. He's a bit of a nut job, but
you can do the kind of I think the two from the kind of Coen Brothers troupe that might have been quite good. John Turturro, I think could have done a good performance. Although he has two of the best scenes in cinema. He has two scenes and they're just fantastic. And apparently they just gave it to him. They just said, "Do what you like with it," which is even more amazing when you think of what he comes up with. And then there's I think possibly Tim Robbins, who did Hudsucker Proxy. Not a great name these days, I don't suppose, and I'm not really sure what else he did, but he's the sort of actor who I think could inhabit that kind of character quite well.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout, actually, Tim Robbins.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting, kind of looking at the way Bridges approached this role. He almost didn't take it. He was worried that it wouldn't be a good role to take and a good influential role, for his daughter and all that kind of stuff. So he almost didn't take it, but then she actually convinced him to do it. She made him do it. He did meet Dowd to sort of get an idea what he was like, but it sounds like he really just brought himself to the role. He said he was thinking about himself, in the 60s and the 70s, and even when it came to wardrobe, he took the costumer from the set to his house to pick out his own clothes. So a lot of the clothes that he's wearing in this film are actually Jeff Bridges' real clothes, his personal clothes. So it's while there are things he's clearly doing that are inspired from Dowd, it seems, and this is probably why the dude is such a Jeff Bridges character, because he's bringing so much to the table that is real for him and not just imitating someone else. That it just flows so nicely out of him.
It does, and he plays it so well. I know you're saying he's essentially sort of being himself, and to a certain extent, I agree with that. But I think he's also like some of the lines that he delivers, and some of the tones of voice that he has in certain scenes, and he's just his whole aura is just brilliant in this, and it's absolutely perfect. I think it's great casting. But yeah, I found that his clothes, they're all his own clothes. Even those horrible sort of flip flop things that he has, and those jelly sandals.
Jelly sandals.
Gosh. But just so right, it's just so right. No wonder he looks comfortable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And he's likable, isn't he? I mean, the thing about
he's likable.
He's incredibly likable.
Yes.
And he's the sort of person I would probably never meet in a million years, but I wouldn't mind spending an afternoon in the bowling alley with him. I mean, I think that says a lot for that character. You have to have a huge desire for him to somehow make it through this complete mess.
Yes.
And particularly when he's surrounded by his two friends who are not exactly the most helpful, but they were. I think those parts were written with Steve Buscemi and Goodman in mind, weren't they? I think.
They were. Yeah. And Goodman. I mean, we're praising Bridges, but we shouldn't overlook Goodman, because this is one of Goodman's best performances for me.
Yeah,
I think
it's his favorite, isn't it?
This, and it's his favorite of his films. Yeah, but I think he's superb in this.
Yeah, the way he's just so unhinged.
So unhinged, and always wanting to talk about Vietnam. It's just, I just love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Because we might not all know people that are exactly like that, but we know variants of that sort of person. In our real lives. So
we do.
And it's a great sort of Mickey take of all people that are like that. I think it's really good.
Yeah,
it's the dynamic. Is always worth watching.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant, and it's the dynamic between the three that really works fantastically. I mean, you've got Walter is, am I wrong? Am I wrong? He's always the opinionated one. He's going to be the one who's going to push them to do things. He pushes the dude to go and get his rug back or get a replacement rug, and then you've got. I hadn't really spotted it until watching it again this time that the dude almost never addresses Donnie. He almost never interacts with him. The person who interacts with him is Walter, who tells him to shut up all the time.
Keep saying you're out of your depth.
The conversation is usually between the dude and Walter, and Donnie is just in the background. It doesn't, and he does that brilliant thing of being two steps behind in the conversation. So he's always going to pick up on a point that was made 20 seconds, 30 seconds ago, or misunderstand it. And I think that's brilliant. And the fact that, as we all know, what happens to Donnie at the end, when you've got the dude talking to the cowboy, and he's just going back to his regular life. And it's just like, things work out. Donnie's dead.
He doesn't.
Doesn't really notice that Donnie's dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see Donnie and the dude as being friends. I mean, I think you're right. They don't, as you say, they don't really interact at all. And when they do, he's always even in the trio, he's always behind the two.
Yes,
you know,
physically.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So there's that sort of separation, and you know, yeah, the dude is just sort of, I don't know what it is, but he just sort of hangs. Steve's character is just sort of hanging around. Donnie's just hanging around, and
Well,
he just doesn't care.
Yeah, is Walter the common denominator here? You know, without is he friends with both of them, and then he brings them both together? That's the vibe.
I think so.
That's the vibe
Could
I
be.
get. Which you think to yourself, I mean, is Walter friends with Donnie because he can bully him? That's my other question.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what I loved about Walter's character is he gets so fired up about something, whether it's the Sabbath or whatever, and he's not going to do anything, and then and then when there's that scene late in the film where he is going off on one at the dude, and the dude's like, oh fuck this, and he storms away, and then Walter turns to Donnie's like, what's his deal? Like as if like he didn't realize that he's the reason that it's like, you are the problem, Walter. God.
Yeah, and he goes nuts about that other bowler putting his foot over the line.
Smokey.
Just
Oh
Smokey.
my God. Scene with the gun.
The bit with the gun. Yeah.
I love how there are rules in bowling, but there are no rules in Vietnam.
Yeah. You're entering a world of pain. Oh dear.
Yeah,
but on like a serious note, though, I do think there is a bit of a commentary there, and that is he is a PTSD nut job. Who, he is trying to find some sense of normalcy after the hellish environment of Vietnam, and he's found it in bowling, and he's willing to pull a gun to make sure the rules of bowling don't get overstepped.
Yeah, are adhered to.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, there's definitely some sort of PTSD going on there that manifests itself in a way that perhaps only the Coen Brothers could make it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because it's and I don't think I wouldn't have said they were trivializing it in as much as it's a comedy. You know, they I'm not saying it's a sensitive treatment and depiction of somebody with PTSD, but I don't get the sense that there's no angry bone in this movie. You know,
No.
So I know a lot of people might say, you know, does this movie love film noir? Does it hate film noir? Is it mocking it, or is I always feel it's doing it from a position of love. It just really enjoys this stuff, and I think in the same way. You know, Walter's character is an interesting treatment on that kind of thing. I did read an interview with Steve Buscemi where he said that he was tempted not to take the part because he didn't like the fact that the character was being bullied all the time by Walter. And so there was a conversation with the Coen Brothers who said, no, Walter loves Donnie. It's just you know, he has no way of vocalizing the fact that he's actually friends with him. He can't ever say it. There's this weird kind of violent relationship between them, which is entirely one-sided for poor old Donnie. But you know, man down, as he says at the end, man down.
Man down.
You know, it's actually quite a sad sequence. That, but,
It is.
It is.
On the back of an absolutely hilarious sequence. But that's the nice, you know, it just gives you that moment. It's another of those transitions, which is getting you from episode 7 to episode 8, you know?
Yes. I feel like there were so many scenes, because if we're going to stick on the Walter train for a bit, there are so many scenes where Walter just steals the show for me. One being the drop off. When the drop off is just amazing, where the ideas are meant to take the $1 million that's meant to be in the suitcase and throw it over the bridge. However, Walter has an alternative plan, and you know the plan keeps getting. That's a great example, because the ransom people, whatever they are, they call the kidnappers of the Big Lebowski's wife. Very young and attractive wife, call the dude to say, hey, when you get to this bridge, throw the thing over. But when they call, the dude is like, yeah, we're on our way. I'm like, what do you mean we? And then Walter's like, wah, 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 you know, in the background, and they're like, you're not alone. And they hang up the phone. And then Walter's like, you know, what did you fucked this up? And it's like, well, you both did. You should have been quiet, and you just should have. Walt should have been quiet, and the dude should have like played it off a little bit better, like he does later in the film when he's like, "We like the royal we, man."
That's right.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Walter can't resist commentating on the quality of his opponents. Amateurs, dude. Amateurs.
Yeah, all the time.
Wait till they reconnect on the phone, so that the first thing they hear is him saying amateurs.
Yes, yeah.
If he's any better as well.
Well, yeah, and of course that's another example of Walter being the person who moves it forward, because that at that point they're just going to do the drop off of this $1 million.
Yeah.
And instead Walter says, no, I've had a great idea. We're going to keep the $1 million. And
then I'm going to beat them up until I get a location on the girl.
Well, and the great thing he's talking about, the brilliant thing about this plan is its simplicity, because when plans get complex, they go wrong. And then they say, right, just throw the bag out the window. He goes, oh, no, we can't do that. That's going to ruin our plan.
But then when he leaps out of the car, though, like he leaps out with his gun, the gun goes off, shoots the car crashes. It's bonkers hijinks that is just so good. And then at the end, Walter's like, fuck it, let's go bowling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
His answer to everything is just, oh, sod it. There you go.
We're done.
I like it when he's beating the crap out of that car. The fancy racket with a baseball bat, and they think it's that kid's, and it's not. It's the neighbours, and he comes and starts battering the dude's car. And it's like,
that's what happens when you F a stranger in the ass.
Yeah.
The beginning of that scene, the scene when he goes to see Larry, and it's one of the things I really love about this film is that you get these really surreal episodes in between, like John Turturro's character when Jesus turns up, but the other one is the opening of that scene when they go to confront the kid with the homework, and they discover that his father was the scriptwriter of a really famous television series, and he's in an iron lung at the end. And the fantastic line from Walter is, before they're about to interrogate this 15-year-old, is something like, I just want to say we're both really great fans of Branded, at least the early episodes. And it's just the line, at least the early episodes.
Yeah.
It's just a brilliant piece of scripting, because you just think, oh my God, that speaks so much to fans.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But apparently there's almost no improvisation in this, apart from John Turturro's character, where they just said do what you like, basically. But
fascinating.
But so because there was something about Jeff Bridges talking to Jeff Bridges hadn't worked with them before, but John Goodman had, of course, several times, and he said to Goodman, when do we get the rewrites? And he says, this is the Coen Brothers; they don't do rewrites. And apparently the dialogue. The finished movie and the script are virtually exact.
And I read something similar, and every dude and every man is scripted.
Yeah.
There's something like 167 of both, or whatever it is.
And that just goes to show the kind of the clarity of their vision when they're writing it and directing it, that they know that, they've got written down without rewrites, they've got the written down first time exactly how it's going to appear on screen. They must have such a solid vision in their head. That's an amazing thing for filmmakers. I mean, you hear about others who will go in and they'll shoot 4 or 5 hours of finished movie length stuff and then piece something together afterwards. I get the feeling that these guys just shoot exactly what they need. There's nothing else. There's nothing left on the cutting room floor. And then, in fact, I'm fairly sure of that, because their movies don't have kind of extended cuts or anything like that, do they? Not many with missing scenes, I don't think.
We should definitely talk about Julianne Moore. Should talk about Maude. She is, I don't know what she is, but she is something else in this. Two Jurassic Park 2 actors in this, both the Nihilist and Maude. Both were in Jurassic Park 2, which would have filmed, I think, the year before, because Julianne was, I think she was was it the year before? I think she was filming Jurassic Park, or was sort of wrapping up Jurassic Park, and then quickly came over to do this but they shot The Big Lebowski very quickly. This was done in like a couple of weeks or something like that. They did not spend. But again, that what you were saying, Mark, the whole sort of, they know what they want and what they need.
Yeah,
it seems like very a well-oiled machine when they're making their movies. They don't seem to be wasting their time. But what did we think of Maude and her introduction and her general character?
Just because it's one of the best introductions to a character in any movie, and I won't be swayed from that point of view. I think it's brilliant. That painting, that ludicrous painting. I mean, and the way she's creating it, it's just absolutely brilliant. It's Dali-esque. It's absolutely ace. And then the way she delivers those first couple of speeches, and when they're watching the porn film, and she's talking almost like a robot. I think it's
brilliant.
I love it.
The story is ludicrous.
The story is ludicrous. Yeah. Yeah, you can, and you can guess what happens next, and he says he fixes the washing machine or whatever it is.
It's brilliant. I think she's fantastic, and it's strange because you got Maude and you got Bunny, and they've both got elements of the femme fatale about them, but they've kind of like divided the characters. And Maude has got this kind of sharp and sassy, almost this kind of Lauren Bacall coolness to her, but she's but she's not flirty at all. She's cold. She's logical. She's I mean, and we know that she's got an intent in mind, which ultimately is going to land her in bed with the dude. But that's for completely logical, as she would put it, logical reasons, And then you've got Bunny, well, she's kind of like Carmen, I suppose, in Big Sleep, isn't she? She's the kind of should be, she should have been. She's the person who's been kidnapped, who hasn't been kidnapped, and you think is going to be in trouble. But you've got she's the kind of the complete seductress with no brain whatsoever.
No brain whatsoever.
And her opening line pretty much is, I'll suck your cock for $1,000. To which the dude says, I've just got to go off and find a cash machine.
Just got to go and find a cash machine. Yeah, and I love Philip Seymour Hoffman's reaction to that, where he's just like, no, okay, off we go.
Okay, fine. Oh, we love her. She's such a character.
Yeah, she's so funny.
But you do get Maude and Bunny are weird because they just take one of those kind of noir female characters and they split them into two. But I really love Maude because I just think she's got the touch of the kind of Yoko Ono, insane off the wall art thing going on, and her her brilliant delivery, as you say, Matt. That whole kind of first of all, she's shot almost entirely symmetrical, isn't she? She's shot in the middle of the frame, and everything's very symmetrical and ordered because she's so she appears so uptight, but and the great lines about does the word vagina bother you?
Yeah. Do you not? Does the female form offend you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And then he just doesn't know what to make of her. He's just like totally bamboozled.
Men are always talking about their Johnson, and he goes, Johnson? And then later, of course, he uses that word. They're going to cut off my Johnson. Oh, brilliant.
I like the dude's reaction to her because she is, and I think I sort of wonder if that's why she goes the distance that she goes with the dude, because ultimately, he comes home one night and she's there in his wardrobe, in his dressing gown, and she drops it and she's like, "Make love to me," and then they bang, and then she's doing the thing afterwards where he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, this is how you get pregnant," trying to, but it's. She chose him for a reason, and he does have a bit of a a tough guy element to him. He's tough and he's able to kind of hold himself, but at the same time, he when they first meet, he wasn't offended or shocked or grossed out by any of the stuff that she was referring to, because she's like, this is what men typically do, but he's doing everything that is
doing that.
Opposite of what she is thinking he might be thinking, or which then in her kooky artistic mind was like, okay, this is the guy I need to procreate with. Okay.
I do like the fact that she tricks him into it as well, into the medical exam with because one of her thugs has knocked him out, and then she gives him the doctor's, he's a good man and thorough, He refuses them later. He's a good man and thorough. It's exactly the same delivery.
Yeah, no, I thought Julianne Moore is she's another scene stealer. Blah, blah, blah. Let's get those words out. She's another scene stealer in this, because every time she comes on screen, she's like Goodman, she is popping. You gotta credit the Coens for not only their writing but for their casting choices here. I think Maude is someone I'm like, I don't know who I would cast in this role, because Moore is just so dang good in it.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I couldn't find any other alternatives that we considered. Could you?
Mm-mm.
No, maybe Uma Thurman, but she might have been a bit young at this point. She got the ability to do that kind of cold thing as well. But she's Julianne Moore. I think she's a brilliant actress. I've loved her in pretty much everything she's done, because she's intelligent. She has and that part comes across as being she might be this sort of absurd artist, but she comes across as being fiercely intelligent, and you need her to give quite a bit of exposition to explain what is going on, which is done very, very briefly, to the point where I'm sure the first couple of times I saw this movie, I had no idea really what was going on, because I mean that's kind of the point. Is that the plot is this classically noir-esque labyrinthine plot that ultimately doesn't really matter, but in this instance, there are actually bits. It does actually make sense when you finally unpick it. But she has to give some really key bits of exposition, which she does while showing the dude the footage from log jamming. So that's
log jamming.
A trick. Log jamming.
It's so good. It's so cool. And you're right. Yeah, she is. That's all exposition, but delivered in this like robotic, monotone way, while watching a really crass and cheap porn film. That's the Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I find the dude such an interesting noir hero. I really do. Because you think about, like, you go back to think about Marlowe and all them, and they're all sort of against the system, and they don't want to be a part of the government anymore. They've either been fired or they've quit, or all the good sort of noir heroes sort of fall into that kind of place. And I like that the dude also is someone who's not of the system, but he's not of the system for any sorts of self-righteous reasons. He's just this chillaxed Zen dude who just wants to smoke weed,
play bowling.
But at the same time, it is also he does also inhabit those noir traits of sort of what you would expect from. It's a brilliant balancing act between like stoner protagonist and what the hard-boiled hero is meant to do and accomplish, I think.
Well, I guess the hard-boiled detective is going to be someone who, like you say, is not working in the system, but is still working to an end. Mm-hmm. And the dude is not working in the system because he's basically opted out. But he is. I mean, he's still intelligent. I mean, there's still the moments where, I mean, they piece together that Bunny hasn't really been kidnapped, and they get the detail of it wrong, which allows the story to carry on. But they work out quite quickly. Oh, this doesn't feel right. Their first analysis is that she kidnapped herself. And a lot of that's coming from the dude rather than Walter, actually.
It is, yes.
And then Walter will make it more complex with his interpretation. But he is fulfilling that function of being a kind of detective. And there's that wonderful moment where I forget the actor's name who plays the brother Seamus in the blue Volkswagen.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Brother Seamus, yeah.
Who was from, what's that, an Irish monk, he says? When he turns up, the actor was in Miller's Crossing, wasn't he? He's one of the main characters in Miller's Crossing.
He is in Miller's Crossing, but I can't remember his name. Yeah.
But that scene is brilliant where he turns up and he says, and he basically says, "Oh, I'm a fellow detective. I love your work, playing one off against the other."
Yeah. And it's again, this is all these nods to noir itself. I mean, playing one off against the other is, the Continental Op does that on occasion, and the dude is, I think, to all intents and purposes, he is a private eye in this, isn't he? He is doing what private eyes do, to the extent that a genuine private eye mistakes him for being one, as you say. And he's just like he's not a man out of time, like we said Gould's Marlowe is, but he's definitely like a man out of place. By which I mean he shouldn't be in the situations he's in. And it's all down to a total chance. That's what just a coincidence. That
like when he's being drugged, and he's like, "I just wanted my rug."
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
And that's a kind of classic noir thing as well, isn't it? That the detective's going to get clobbered or drugged at some point. They're going to get.
Yeah. I mean,
it's all farewell, my lovely.
Earlier when you were saying the whole sort of thing about is it being mean or negative towards noir, I think I don't think so at all. I think it's quite clear that the way they fulfill all of the noir tropes shows a very conscious love of the genre, because they never play it for cheap gags. Where people who might be trying to be a bit, tongue-in-cheek would maybe do so, whereas they take all of the noir elements quite seriously. It's the characters and their backgrounds that is the sort of absurd elements.
I don't want to. I think you're right. I think this isn't a sort of airplane type film noir. This is. I hate to keep. To bring him up again, but this is the sort of gentle lampooning of noir that the private life of Sherlock Holmes is of Doyle.
Yes,
that's the way I see this.
Yeah, that's
the way
right.
I see this.
We got our Sherlock Holmes connection.
You found it.
There you go. Found it. We love that. We love the source. We love the genuine stuff. We're just having fun with it.
Yeah,
that's what this is. That's what this is.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I guess
by having fun with it, they create something of its own, and that's a great takeaway as well for me.
Yeah, I guess something like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is going to be much more on the playing against the conventions and probably a bit more. I don't know. It's quite affectionate towards noir still,
I don't think they're taking the mickey out of it. I think Devon Don't Wear Plaid sort of takes the mickey. I don't think the Big Lebowski takes the mickey out of noir.
No, I
think it's paying tribute to it. And doing so in an affectionate parody. I think that's the phrase. And why not? Noir's strong enough to take it, surely.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about the Coen Brothers in general is they do a really good job of blending genre. I mean, we talked about this with the Blood Simple episode, where that is both your kind of your gritty neo noir, but at the same time, it's also horror.
Oh, it's horror, yeah, very much horror to the end.
And this is clearly neo noir, but at the same time, it's also what is known as the stoner comedy. It's blending these two things, but with a level of intelligence and maturity that in other hands would not be achieved. You think I can think of other kinds of stoner comedies and other sorts of people who went and did those films. I'm like, I don't think the people behind like Hot Rod, the Adam Sandberg film, or is it Andy Sandberg film would have been able to achieve this level of intelligent balance between the two genres, despite that film being quite fun and funny, but it's kind of over the top. And this does a really good job of not going over the top, even though it goes over the top. There are the out of body experiences that they have. Well, those are just clearly drug trips. You know what I mean? And it works in that regards. Whereas, I mean, I guess the Coen Brothers came under a little bit of fire when they had their Fargo TV show and and an actual alien spaceship turned up in one of the scenes. But you know,
we all have off days at the office. But yeah, I agree with what you were saying there, Luke. And I think lesser writers and lesser directors would have veered too much into the stoner comedy and too many jokes about weed and marijuana and all this to it.
Yeah,
you would have lost the noir. This is a stoner comedy where it's just part of a whole. And it's really just manifested in the dude, isn't it? I mean, let's face it.
Well, that's right. I was wondering if the dude is the most unconventional aspect of this, if you take it as a noir movie. Is he the most unconventional thing about it? Because if you think about things like the way it's episodic and it moves from setting to setting, if you think about the settings, they're classically noir, aren't you? You've got the big mansion, the big man in the big mansion, you've got the dowdy apartments, you've got the beach party. That scene with the Malibu cop is fantastic, chief of police. But and then you've got those brilliant little snapshots in between the bowling alleys themselves. You've got all this kind of slightly retro, but you're wandering through Los Angeles. It really does feel like it. So if you were to put, I'm not saying anybody should do this, but if you were to put a non-stoner into that character, how far would it look different from a regular noir film? And I don't think it would look that different at all, really.
I don't either. I don't either.
No, I don't.
I mean, interestingly enough, the response to the film was a bit mixed. At the time, there was sort of a mixed response. People were sort of like, "Oh, these were the guys who gave us Fargo a year and a half ago, and now we have this incoherent, absurd neo-noir kind of Western thing." So there was a bit of sort of it didn't, because it's more of a cult classic than it is than it was a proper hit. And following up Fargo is, it's a tall order, but I like the fact that their follow-up to Fargo was something that was just completely different, but equally excellent. And, I think over time, more, people sort of, some of the negative responses sort of changed their tune a little bit with this.
Yeah,
but
so.
It is interesting because one review that I will quickly read out it was from the Toronto Star. Said it's hard to believe that this is the work of the team that won an Oscar for last year for the original screenplay of Fargo. There's a large amount of profanity in the movie, which seems as a weak attempt to paper over dialogue gaps. And there really is an art form there's no gaps. Profanity is an art form in film and in literature. The Lebowski nails it. Things like The Thick of It, the British TV show.
Yeah.
But there is a serious art form to it. To do it well and it not to feel like papering over. This is not that. This is not papering over. Toronto Star, you were wrong at the time, and you're right now.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Amazing. To think that people would criticize the dialogue is just astonishing, really. But
it is astonishing.
But also, the fact that there's swearing, the Coen brothers are clearly amused by this themselves. I mean, the final monologue from the cowboy, he says, I enjoyed it. Well, most parts. Too many cuss words.
Yes.
They even draw it up. So, but I'm amazed looking at those reviews because I did read some of those original reviews in advance of this, and it goes to show how much of a sleeper hit it was, that people went into that movie expecting it to be something else. And maybe they expected it, maybe it was marketed as a noir, I don't know. But a lot of those early reviews seem to say it doesn't really hang together, it doesn't really make sense. And, they're kind of expecting it has to have this kind of functional plot. First of all, it does make sense.
It does.
And secondly, and secondly, the kind of point of it is that it's the journey rather than the outcome. He doesn't end up with a rug at the end. He doesn't.
Yeah, this is in a nutshell. This is the difference between American, using broad brush, American crime fiction and English crime fiction, British crime fiction. In that the American, the noir thriller is all about the ride, and the British crime thriller is all about the typical
solution.
It's all about the solution.
Yeah,
and the two different things.
Yeah, they are.
And what this film does is give you a crazy mix of both, because it does make sense. But as with all the really great films, it doesn't hand it to you on a plate.
No.
You have to work for it.
No.
I mean, we've covered Mulholland Drive, and I argue that Mulholland Drive makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But Lynch isn't going to tell you what that sense is. You've got to draw your own conclusions, and it's a much more rewarding experience for that.
Yeah,
So
I absolutely agree.
and the
with that.
profanity thing, I just going back to that. I mean, no way is that papering over gaps. No way, because this is how people like this talk. And what I think is great about it is it doesn't sound and doesn't come across as scripted. It comes across as perfectly natural.
Mm-hmm.
It comes across as people talking, and that isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't easy to do.
Probably apart from John Turturro. And I'm very
Apart from
happy.
John Turturro,
I'm very happy he's in it. Though.
yeah, who's just, I mean, he's something else, isn't he?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I sort of think that there is a possibility that comments like that regarding the profanity are rooted in that possibly The Big Lebowski is ahead of its time. Because again, you think of shows like The Thick of It, where it's perfectly normal. You think of shows more recently like Succession, where the way in which those characters speak and throw cuss words in and out of their lines is an art form. And we're talking mid or late 90s. There's still a lot of sort of, you don't go, if you're a Midwest Christian person, you don't go see those R-rated movies, those curse words and all those titties and blah, blah, it's all the devil, blah, blah, but then you start etching more into the mid 2000s. We just covered Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where the end of that movie, bit like this, is like, we're sorry for all the for those of you in the Midwest, we're sorry for all the curse words. The same kind of ending. Here, right? So I think it's interesting to sort of track and see the sort of vibe of that kind of Hollywood, that kind of cliched Hollywood culture of everyone there just cusses all the time and it's just normal, and seeing the way that is becoming normalized just in general entertainment now, and people are accepting it. But it's taken how many decades?
That's really interesting point as well, because the other thing that The Big Lebowski, I think, has suffered from is, apart from the negative reviews right at the beginning, is some of the stuff that's written about it today. I mean, some of the over-intellectualized academic dross that is written about The Big Lebowski is astonishing. This is a deep and insightful critique of the neocon views of the, and reflections on the Iraq War and blah, blah. It's just like, is it bullshit?
Absolute bullshit.
This is, I cannot abide that idiotic kind of slice on this. It's just it is just pompous and trying to prove yourself. And actually, when the Coen Brothers do not have, I don't believe they have an agenda out there other than making a terrific 2 hours of time in a cinema. And I don't believe there's a deeper meaning to this.
I don't think there is.
Yes, you can take it, death of the author and all that. It's your interpretation. But I think there's a point at which you're really stretching. You're
stretching. Yeah. I mean, that reminds me of John Carpenter's comment when somebody said, "Is Halloween like a comment on underage extramarital sex, and having safe sex?" And he said, "No, it's about a guy with a knife." That sums that whole point up for me. You can intellectualize these things, but sometimes you're just watching a film about a man with a knife, and that's it. And I agree with you, Mark. I think to overanalyze this film will remove a lot of its pleasure.
It kills it. It kills it. And so much of it is just sensibility, isn't it? I mean, a lot of Coen Brothers movies, I'm not saying they're not clever. They are fiendishly clever and they're fantastic art. But a lot of it is about creating the mood and the sensibility and taking you through that journey. And that's what they do brilliantly here, because they're creating an off-the-wall sensibility and then having actually quite a very rational noir plot that sits underneath it.
And that takes us back to Chandler, the idea that it's all about the mood and it's all about the attitude, and the story goes along with it. So I think to overanalyze this is to do it a really severe disservice. I think you should just watch this agree. for the impression it is meant to give on you, which is 2 hours of rollicking good fun.
Yeah.
Now, the Coen Brothers, obviously, they said that they would never do a sequel to The Big Lebowski, but I think we should just briefly mention a film that I don't know if any of us have seen, but there was a spinoff. John Turturro got himself a spinoff featuring his character Jesus. This came out in, what was it called? The Jesus Rolls is what it was called. Yeah. Came out in 2020. He got permission from the Coens to do a spinoff with this character. No one else from The Big Lebowski features in this film. It's just Jesus.
What a terrible, terrible idea. And
what a terrible idea.
I haven't seen it. Fortunately, I had COVID, so I couldn't see it. That's my excuse. Yeah. But no, I mean, there are some characters who just are perfect for the 2 scenes they're in.
Yes.
Why do you need anything else other than that? And, again, Walter gets the great punchline, doesn't he? 8-year-olds, dude.
8-year-olds. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just...
Yeah. That character doesn't need any more than the 2 scenes he's in.
No. More
3 scenes,
enough.
Whatever it is. That is more than enough, because there's no way. You say this is a film. There's no way I want to spend an hour and a half at least in that bloke's company. No way. No way.
No, we'd hang out with Walter. We'd hang out with the dude. We wouldn't.
I'd rather hang out with Walter. Yeah.
Not this guy. So it's interesting. This actually has a spin-off, but no one ever talks about it. When I see things like this, it reminds me of when I was younger, and I liked the film Dragonheart, the dragon movie. Not Kevin Costner. Oh gosh, what's that guy's name? I gotta find Dragonheart. The movie. I'm gonna know it. Dennis Quaid. That's it. Dennis Quaid.
Oh yes,
with Sean Connery.
That one.
Cool. Right. Yeah. Dragonheart. Yep. And I remember it was at the dawn of the DVD. Hitting the mass market, and I picked up what I thought was Dragonheart because it looked like it, and even said it on the front. Then I got home and then paid more attention and realized it was a straight to DVD sequel.
Oh.
And I put it in thinking maybe it'll be good, and it was dog shit. And every time I see these spin-off things like that, my brain automatically goes back to the Dragonheart straight to DVD sequel that no one talks about because it's garbage. And that is how I view the Jesus, the Jesus Rolls. It's going to be the same. Just you don't need it. This was bad idea.
Yeah, terrible idea.
Or when TV shows try and do backdoor pilots, drives me nuts.
Oh, yeah.
The Office did it. They tried to do a Dwight spinoff, so they did a backdoor pilot in the final season. It was the worst episode, and that show didn't take off. And I'm a big fan of Bosch. The last season of Bosch Legacy shoved in a backdoor pilot for the new Renee Ballard series that ultimately took away from giving Bosch a conclusion to his own stinking show.
Bad.
And I'm just like, what are you doing? Stop this. Stop it.
I can't think of many examples where it's worked. What, Frasier from Cheers? That's probably about
the outlier, man. The outlier. Yeah, that's one of the only ones.
Yeah. I can't think of another one.
Yeah.
Joey from Friends didn't work.
No, God, no.
No, I'm just glad that one. In fact, I didn't even know about that.
I didn't know it existed. No, I presume it tanked.
I don't think it even got released. Did it? Did it get a release?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was released in 2020. It actually came out.
Good God!
Wow.
The film is available. It can be. It was available at some point.
The film shouldn't be available.
Yeah.
No, you can go on Amazon right now and you can buy it for $11.46 on for the Blu-ray. It's right there, ready to be consumed.
No, I'll just set fire to 12 quid.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Of all the characters that you don't need a spin-off of, it's that one.
Yeah. He's perfect for what he does.
He's perfect for what he does in this film. Yeah, he's perfect in this film.
Exactly. You don't need anything else. And I think, if you think about the brilliant kind of surreal characters who only get a few moments in it, you've got Jesus, you've got Jackie Treehorn. We haven't talked about Jackie Treehorn.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jackie Treehorn is a terrific character. You've got the fantastically named Uli Kunkel, the leader of the Nihilists.
Yes.
If you believe in nothing, Lebowski. Which is just so brilliant with their kind of Kraftwerk cover.
Yes.
And the one that I really like, because he's just completely irrelevant to the whole thing, is David Thewlis's character as the Scouse artist who just sits there giggling in the scene. And it's the only time the dude ever seems kind of bothered. He's like, what's with this guy? What's he here for?
Yeah.
But that's a classic. I guess that's a kind of classic noir thing as well, isn't it? That you're going to get these moments where you get these, slightly larger than life characters coming through and, just appearing for a handful of scenes and disappearing off.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because this is where as the Coens were saying, like, we wanted something that was like Chandler that moved you through different aspects of society. So he's not just the dude is not just going into places and speaking to the one person he needs to speak to. He's going to Jeff Lebowski and he's meeting Philip Seymour Hoffman's obsessive characters. Like, and he, the dude is touching one of the plaques and he's like, stop touching that, please. Don't touch that. Oh, we love her. We're getting these sort of interesting glimpses of life that's going on in these places. We're seeing these weirdos that Julianne Moore is hanging out with, in her studio stroke house kind of thing. There is, and this is good storytelling, because it's life is happening and it's not just the dude making life happen.
Yeah, good point.
And there's a really good, I always got to bring Smallville in and to an episode if I can fit it in. Now, in any episode of Smallville that features Jonathan Kent, whenever you see Jonathan, he's always in the middle of doing something. Clark comes in for advice. He's talking to Clark. Clark's talking to his dad. He's always working on something. And that was an actor choice from John Schneider, because he's like, my life doesn't stop because my son has a problem.
Yeah.
I have to provide for my family. This is how we make a living. I'm working. It's showing that there is life happening on the farm. And in the same way, I think this is what I love about, films like The Big Lebowski and others that do this. It's this life that is going on around. There is stuff happening, and it's not just the dude and what the dude is experiencing.
No, absolutely. And it's what you feel as an audience member or as a reader. You've just been picked up and dropped into these people's lives for as long as it takes to tell the one particular aspect of it. Yeah. One particular situation that they're in or whatever. And then you leave it and they carry on. Those are good characters. Those are well-written characters. Even the small ones, even the cameos. They're well written. I agree with all that.
And they use the Jackie Treehorn one's terrific, where you have Jackie Treehorn is taken away for a phone call. He receives a phone call and he walks away, and at that point, the dude does his only bit of real PI work, isn't it? To go in and to use the pencil to work out what he wrote down on the.
And what does he get?
And it's brilliant because you're going, oh my god, that's what Jackie Treehorn went off to do then. Presumably. And then he comes back again and then he drugs him. And then we move into the next episode, which is the Malibu Cop, who's another, terrific cameo of, stay the hell out of my town, Lebowski, and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, he gives him a kick in as well, doesn't he?
throws a cup at his head, and then you get the next bizarre one is in the taxi. I always love the scene back with the taxi.
I hate the Eagles, man.
I hate the Eagles, and the taxi driver's so incensed he pulls up and rips him out of the back of the car and says, you don't like the Eagles, you can Yeah, it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
the
I
eagles.
wonder if that was a real event that happened to someone.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It feels like it. It feels
Yeah,
like
really
it feels like
feels
kids'
like-
homework in the car again, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. I don't
does.
know if it's true or not, but I got the vibe that this felt a little too. We've all been in a cab where it's like, oh, I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
dear.
we have any dislikes about the Big Lebowski?
Ooh.
The answer can be no.
Do you know, I've always had a bit more of a problem with the second half than the first half. I think when you get to about the halfway point is neatly broken up by there's the second appearance of the cowboy.
Yes.
Mm.
And then you get into the beginning of the second half is Larry's homework. And as much as I really like that whole sequence now, that whole red herring is, and of course red herring's part of noir as well, but that bit to me has always felt like it slightly stutters for a bit, but I would say it's a minor criticism in the field. And actually watching it again, I didn't feel quite the same way, but that had always been my abiding memory, was that it sort of dips off a bit just after the middle. But
yeah. I think that's fair to say. I am kind of with you there, and felt even on this rewatch, I did sort of feel once it's a 2-hour film that I'm like, I wonder if we trim this down to like an hour and 40. Just it's, and again, it's not like I necessarily want it to be trimmed down, but there is just a couple of moments that feel like we're losing our way just a little bit.
Yeah,
but I'm still enjoying the ride, so I'm going along with it. But if I were to have like a proper dislike, I would say that I do sort of feel that maybe the character of Bunny is probably the weakest.
yeah.
And given, and it just maybe just a little bit, if she's meant to be the Carmen Sternwood, it would have been maybe just a little bit nicer to have just a bit more to kind of flesh that out, because all we really get from her is I'll suck your dick for 1,000 pounds and he can watch for 100. Funny, it's a funny line, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we could just a little bit more would have been nice. That would be my criticism. But I feel like I should caveat that by saying that these criticisms are not big criticisms.
Yeah, I think they are criticisms. They're valid criticisms, both of those, and I don't disagree with either of them. But that you can sort of forgive the film for them, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You really can. Yeah.
Because overall they don't really matter. They don't destroy it, do they? They don't in any way hamper it. They're just a little bit of itches you can't scratch, really.
I mean, they have to keep Bunny away because, obviously she's meant to be kidnapped, but also the great reveal is that she just went and spent some time with her friends and didn't tell anyone, and turned up again, and that the Nile
I love
just taking advantage of that.
Yeah, and I love that the solution in inverted commas is so banal.
Yeah,
that it's almost meaningless.
Right. Yeah,
I think that is fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah. I just would have liked more at the beginning, not throughout the film, but just a little bit more at the beginning.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Because there's a similar scene, isn't there, in one of the Chandler novels where I think it's The High Window, where he goes to, Marlowe goes to visit an actress or whatever she is that's meant to have been, they're supposed to be friends with the daughter-in-law who's done a runner and nicked this doubloon thing. And the scene, I think they're sitting by a swimming pool. She's with a lover, and they're sitting by the swimming pool. And Marlowe approaches, and it reminded me very much of the bunny scene. The first book by the pool reminded me very much of that. And there's a lot more in the Chandler exchanges that show what sort of woman this is, and she isn't just a painted blonde, although he does say from 30 feet away she looked like a work of art, close up she looked like something that should have been seen 30 feet away or whatever it is. There's a lot more, there's a lot more, and I mean a lot more depth to that character and that exchange than there is here. So maybe a bit more meat to the bones of that meeting would have sort of scratched that itch for you. I don't know.
Maybe. But other than that, that's about it, really.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic one. It doesn't disappoint. I mean, so many good lines, you know, when he's like, what is that? A golf ball? Or what does he say? What's that line?
Clearly you're not a golfer.
Clearly you're not a golfer. When he's talking about, what is this? He's holding a bowling ball. Clearly you're not a golfer, which I just thought that was absolutely fun. And the rug ties the room together. You know,
ties the room together. That
it's
one
brilliant.
Of my favorite.
The thing I spotted this time round, because I was trying to approach it specifically as a noir film. Is that in that first scene, the dude actually has some real wisecracks. You know, he gets his head shoved down the toilet, and they say, "Where's the money, Lebowski?" And he says, "Oh, it's down there somewhere." You know, and actually, you get this kind of the wisecracking hard-boiled PI, don't you? You get the wisecracking noir detective for a little bit. Obviously, you know, at least I'm housebroken. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But very quickly, you don't get that. Instead, you go into parroting and things like that. So that's a bit weird in a kind of way, because I thought he set up. I wonder if they made a decision that, you know, we can't make him quite so wisecracky, because later on he ends up with lines like, "Well, that's just, you know, like your opinion, man."
Yeah.
Which is much more the dude. But
yes.
I think the other thing just to say about it, because we have mentioned it, is the music. I think the other thing that really makes this movie is the music.
Good music.
And you've got, you know, both that mixture of, you know, you've got the wonderful tumbling tumbleweed at the beginning, which is giving you this kind of old vibe, but then going straight up to this kind of parody Kraftwerk stuff as well. It really does span a huge age, but I like the fact that they give, you know, the dude's got kind of like Creedence Clearwater Revival kind of music going on whenever he's there, and you know, they just give them all signatures and stuff, and it feels like I was reading that, you know, Carter Burwell does the incidental music on most of these things, the orchestral score, but then they have is it T-Bone Burnett, who used to be a guitarist with Dylan, wasn't he? Is kind of, I think they call him like a compiler or an archivist or something of the other tracks that they use, and so you get Kenny Rogers and you get Bob Dylan and it's such a part of the movie. I think it's a terrific soundtrack, actually.
Yeah, it is a terrific soundtrack, and I think Carter Burwell is an unsung hero, really. I think some of his work on Miller's Crossing particularly is absolutely phenomenal. Amazing. Brilliant soundtrack. You know, people always mention John Williams and Hans Zimmer and people like this, but Carter Burwell's way up there. He's right up there for me. Really is.
Fantastic.
Are there any other final thoughts before we go into rating The Big Lebowski? No? All right.
I'm done.
Well, as people know who listen to the show, we rate all of our films out of 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Now it's time for us to rate The Big Lebowski. Start with you, Mark. Out of 5, what would you rate The Big Lebowski?
5.
There we go.
I will die on this hill.
There we go. Matt.
Go on, Mark. Did you want to add something then?
Oh no, I was just going to say I can't quite remember what the grading is, but whatever the grading is, it's getting a 5.
5 is the best. So there you go.
Is it a perfect film? I don't know. But it's damn good fun. It's damn good fun, and it's got so many, what I would say, you know, one of a phrase, traditional noir elements that I love and have loved since I was a kid. It's five Falcons.
There you go. And I
don't know what I'm waffling about. It's 5 Falcons.
There you go. It is also 5 for me. I have a couple of criticisms, but they're hardly anything to knock it down. I think it's the way they balance stoner comedy with noir fiction and make it work, make something that shouldn't work so well, and is never boring. Every time I rewatch it, I'm never bored with this film.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's a classic. It deserves the 5 Falcons. So
have you done anything else than the kind of comedy mode that's got, or the comic noir stuff that's got a 5 or close to a 5?
I don't think we have done any comedies yet. I know we got a couple on the list, but I don't think have we done any comedies?
They're not so much, sort of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or.
Well, yeah, I guess we did. We did that.
We did the Nice Guys.
Nice
Guys.
That's it. Yeah.
Nice Guys.
My brain is like mush. I'm like, what have we done? I don't know. Those two. Oh, we did Beverly Hills Cop 4.
We did Beverly Hills Cop. We're doing Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Roger Rabbit. Yeah, I have to look through the list. Yeah. I'm looking back through the list so I can remind myself what we've done. This is episode 59.
I was going to say there's a point at which,
Yeah, so
it's legit not to remember what you've done. But
yes, Bad Monkey. We did Bad Monkey, that TV show, which is funny.
Yeah.
So yes, we have.
We have. Whether they got other things like
say again,
gets listed often with other things like In Bruges. But I'm not sure I
In Bruges,
noir.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that noir. I just call that boring.
I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even put it. You mean this does? You mean Lebowski does?
Yeah. I was looking at people that sort of grouped it with other things.
I mean,
Fargo.
A million years.
Yeah, Fargo came up, but things like In Bruges, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Nice Guys.
I would lump this together with the Nice Guys. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits with Nice Guys, Kiss Kiss.
And Kiss
Not
Kiss.
In Bruges. In Bruges is too. I don't know what In Bruges
is. It's more
gangster
land, isn't it? It's more
it's more gangster and just.
It's also got Ray Fiennes in it, so
No.
Ray Fiennes with a really dodgy East End London accent that wonders remarkably.
Yeah.
But I suspect Roger Rabbit we gave 5s each. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a
I can't remember. Did we give Nice Guys 5?
Probably.
I can't remember.
Probably. I know. I was criticized. I was criticized on Twitter by one of our devoted followers, listeners, because I gave I given the Batman a high review, but then one of our recent endeavors I did not give as high a review for, and they were like, "What do you mean this is worse than the Batman?" And I was like, "Sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I failed you." I can't remember what it was though, but it was one of our more recent sort of episodes. And so they said that they might keep track of all of our ratings. So in the comments, let us know what are we rating our comedies, because I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't remember. The odd ones.
It's just a bit of fun at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and it's all opinion, and it
is. I'd be surprised. The reason for asking the question is I'd be surprised if there was another kind of comic noir that was at this level. And I like the Nice Guys. I really enjoyed the Nice Guys. I probably wouldn't put it on this level because it's more obviously zany and slapsticky in a way. But yeah, but there is. I don't know if this is the first one to do it, but there's obviously a school or there's a trend of people trying to do these. Well, I don't know. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid was before, wasn't it? So
there's that. There's the Fletch film as well. Anyway, I think we have thoroughly investigated the Big Lebowski 1998. Mark, thanks for joining us for this investigation.
Thanks,
that was great. Thank you. It's always a pleasure, guys.
Yes, we will find another excuse to bring you back. Where can people find you if they choose to do so?
Well, I've vacated Twitter now, so I'm on Blue Sky.
Okay.
At DRM Jones, and the podcast is doingsofdoyle.com. You can find out there if this has sufficiently whetted your appetite for Arthur Conan Doyle nonsense.
Fair enough.
Visit us there.
There you go. Go listen to some Arthur Conan Doyle discussions. It's good times. I think we can wrap this up and put this in the drawer and say we're done with it. But we will obviously be back next week with another investigation. So in the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you can, leave comments and ratings on Apple and what is the other one, Spotify and all that kind of stuff. And In the meantime, remember to take care walking down those mean streets.